they have to design an appropriate form of punishment.
Yeah.
But they do not have the, let's say, go to jail for. There was a law before our current law came into being, the PNDC law. That PNDC law made it, gave a 2-year sentence for you if you actually defaulted in submitting or publishing or declaring your assets. But that law was removed when we did the Act 550, and it's not also in the Constitution. So basically, you can have that space to do what you want to do, according to the Sraj boss. Now, one thing we should note here is that the regime has been in effect for over so many years now, and the invocation of Article 283 and sanctions of 263 are clear. Now, the public is unable to access the following information: whether a listed person under the Act has submitted a declaration. That's why we cannot access. Whether the declaration was authentic, whether all declarations submitted for a relevant period can be reconciled, who is responsible for verifying the submitted declarations, and all of that, because they are not really stipulated. It was when we got to the RTI that you could then apply for them to give you a list of people who have actually gone through the process. The other difficulty that has been also expressed with this current regime is the verification part, that no matter what you put on it, when there's no contention about that particular document, nobody gets to verify and see. In fact, there are some who say that, oh, he can see the content, but he cannot verify the content. So he can't call, let's say, the Lands Commissioner asks, this land in Achimota Forest, does it really belong to Winston or Kojo or anybody in this case? So that's the other difficulty with the regime that we are dealing with. There are questions about the scope of our laws too, and whether it limits certain people from also. So some countries have spouses, for example, being included.
Yeah.
Some countries believe that they are so critical that their assets equally should be declared, so that people do not become beneficial owners and put things through their wives and other people in the name of others, even extended to children of the public officers in this case. But we do not have that regime operating in this country.
Our current asset declaration law actually says that you must declare all your assets and all your liabilities directly or indirectly. So that means that when it comes to the liabilities, even the indirect ones must be declared. And
like beneficial ownership in some form.
You can see the sense in that. Okay. All right. So that's a canvassing of all the current issues with the laws that we have on our books. Let's bring in our first guest. He hates being called a prominent lawyer, but that's what he is. Martin Kpebu is joining us on the phone. Good morning, sir. How are you? Do we have Martin Kpebu on the line? Hello.
Yeah, it's good. Good morning.
Yes. Good morning to you. It's good to have
you.
Thanks for making the time.
Good. Thank you today for recognizing me as a rookie lawyer.
Rookie party. Anyway. So here's how things stand at the moment. Our law says declare your assets, but nobody can see it. Now, if you declare your assets, or if you don't declare your assets, or you misdeclare your assets, the thing that cannot be seen, someone must report it. No one can see it, but someone must report it to Shraj. So if someone, without seeing it, manages to report it to Shraj, the worst Shraj can do is recommend a penalty. That recommendation may or may not be taken. So in reality, why are we pretending to declare our assets in Ghana?
Okay. I think we are pretending because the citizenry have not shown enough anger. The citizenry have not shown enough interest in holding public officers to account. Actually, we are collaborators. You know how when a big man ascends office, we are eager to go and say, oh, can I get school fees paid? Can I get my word into your organization, employment, and so on and so forth. So the real problem is that we ourselves as citizens are collaborators. Too many of us. But thank God the tide is changing. That's how society moves forward. Because as Raymond rightly pointed out, under the old law, it was open. And we didn't, and yesterday I followed you when you're talking about the way the current MPs, some of them are saying if you publish the asset, armed robbers will get information to come and rob them. Under the PNDC regime, when it was open, I'm not aware of any cases where there were robberies of those PNDC secretaries because their assets were declared publicly in the Gazette. So the Assembly Press, yes, they had to be gazetted. So, Kojo, to sum up, we are where we are because largely the citizenry have a certain attitude. Our leadership is a reflection of the citizenry. Yes, that is it. Let's take it. Sometimes we pretend it's only the leaders, but some of us are even more corrupt than them. The leadership is a microcosm of the citizenry. That's what it is.
I want to bring in the Shraj Commissioner, who is joining us as well, Mr. Joseph Whittle. It's a pleasure to have you. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Kojo.
Now, I'm glad you've joined us because the bill that is sponsored by Shraj is supposed to solve the problems that exist in the current law. But we've been reading through it. In your estimation, which of the problems does the new bill solve?
Anyway, I think there has been some minimal progress. When you look at the current edition of the law, you'd see that at least there is some improvement in terms of the sanctioning regime which the Commission has been requesting. The criminal sanctions are now clearly elaborated, almost in all the provisions that require criminal sanctioning. The administrative sanctions which the Commission should also apply. You see, the recommendations we made the last time seem to have been reflected, at least to some extent. Not the way we want them, but at least we have seen some being captured. I'm talking of the edition which is currently on the Occupy Ghana website. In fact, that is the only place we are able to track to know what is the latest, which is titled 2022 and signed by the Attorney General Godfrey Yeboah Dame. And so I would say there is some minimal improvement, but the sticking points are more serious. There's still no publication, the need for publishing in terms of the Gazette, as Martin Kwebu, my good friend, has been speaking of. Verification is very minimal. In fact, there is no verification. It is only when a case is under investigation, either by the Commission or a court or a Commission of Inquiry, that we can ask the Attorney General, the Auditor General, to verify the assets in question. The publication, surprisingly, is about the list of officers who have either published or declared their assets or have defaulted in declaring their assets. But that's not what the people of Ghana want. We want to see what assets, liabilities, properties those public officers have declared, so that we can make up our minds as to whether they're talking the truth or not. That is what we want. I think that is the signal the people gave throughout. But as Martin said, it appears either the people and the public officers who are running government are in discord.
A quick correction. I did say that the bill was sponsored by Shraj. It's not sponsored by Shraj. You contributed at some point. You commented on it, but you didn't sponsor it. I just needed to make that correction. Winston.
All right.
Great. So, Mr. Whittle, you've talked about the publication and verification, what the public would want. Why is the publication and verification of the declaration of assets very, very important in our fight against corruption?
Publication and verification is about transparency and ensuring that the trust of the people in government or those who govern is high. As a young officer, when I was, joining, I worked as a public officer at the beginning of my tenure when the PNDC was phasing out. I had the opportunity of declaring my assets. And that is under a military regime.
Okay.
So how come that under a constitutional regime, we are moving backwards? And so the publication is meant to allow all of us, every citizen of Ghana, who the government is running the state on behalf of, to know what you have come in with, to be able to point out and say, look, these are not all your assets. I know assets this person has got are not declared. And it will give the opportunity for that person to raise or bring an allegation before the commission. Otherwise, the matter is not put in the public domain. How can anybody know that this person has not done the right thing, has not declared properly, and will be able to bring a complaint before the commission? That is why it is necessary. Now, verification is also very important because we're dealing with the value of the asset. If you have a 10-story building and you declare it as a building, nobody knows what that building is. And the Auditor General has the opportunity to go and assess the value of that. We can know whether you have the income or the resources to have acquired that based on your known income, or is it a possibility that you have taken advantage of your public office? So publication and verification are very, very important anti-corruption strategies.
Now, these are very important anti-corruption strategies. Unfortunately, the current bill doesn't include that. In the absence of these, is the bill fit for purpose?
I think, listen, I would say it's not fit for purpose for now. But the good thing is that the current edition is the one that is before Cabinet. And let's hope that when it comes before Parliament, the people of Ghana will rise up and do the right thing, because Parliament is the lawmaking arm of government. These are only proposals coming from the executive. And we, in the anti-corruption fraternity, and all citizens have the opportunity to submit memoranda. And so let's wake up, as we did for the RTI, and ensure that what we want reflect in the final outcome of the law.
I want to bring in Mr. Martin Kwebu here. Now, corollary to this asset declaration issue is the issue of conflict of interest, which is, part of what we're trying to cure with this asset declaration.
Yeah.
But I think we struggle a bit with the idea of conflict of interest being a bad thing here in Ghana. It seems even our culture kind of, combats this idea. I wonder whether in our current, in the new law that is being proposed, the bill, whether it properly addresses the issue of conflict of interest. To your mind, does it properly satisfy all the requirements to ensure that a person in a public office cannot have private gain from that public office?
Oh, Kojo, definitely you would hardly find a law that can be 100% correct, okay? Because things in the nature of human beings, we are very ingenious. You create one rule and human beings will find another way around it, okay? But at least, to the extent that the bill has provisions expanding on the notion of conflict of interest, it helps. Because you see that, as you said, we struggle with the whole idea of conflict of interest. And in actual fact, if we were to implement it to the letter, I can't imagine the number of public officers who will be caught in the web. Because that's how business is done at the ministry. It's open. open conflict of interest. You bring your nephew, you bring your niece, then you bring a different company, then you take the contract, and then that's how it's done. If we were to follow conflict of interest to the letter, so many public officers, so the court, so many is even an understatement. Okay, maybe the executive arm will collapse. That's it. If we were to implement conflict of interest to the letter. So, but times are changing. We've accepted that we want to build a democracy. So it's time to stop. Okay? So for me, I think that it's a step forward. What the bill does is a step forward, but naturally that cannot be the totality of the idea of conflict of interest. But at least we move forward. The rest, we can supplement with decisions of the courts and, other experiences from other parts of the world.
Now, at the moment, even with the not fit for purpose law that we have, it's not being implemented. It's being completely flouted. Sir John did not declare his assets. There is no doubt he is not the only public officer who has not declared their assets. There's no doubt.
Yeah.
But nobody is doing anything to ensure that even that sealed envelope nobody can open is submitted by these officers. What's the problem? Why is it that even with the implementation of this loose law, we're failing?
Good. So, you see, then we come back to this cultural setting. Because, the last time CDD did a report on this kind of report public officers for misconduct and those special asset declaration and, the misgovernance. It said about 8 out of 10 of our citizens are scared. Okay? So they say, look, they are scared. They don't want to because of possibly reprisal attacks and also, we even have some, they said, what you call local sayings that even say that if you find your countryman, your fellow, somebody of your ethnic, origin, succeeding in government, that he's looting the state, don't put spokes in his web, right? There are some states, better say it will be like somebody or the BB Kokotokwa, like Japadia, mixed up the words, but there's something like that. I don't know if you know the rendition. Popular one. So if you find a public officer, okay, making lots of assets, okay, to the detriment of the citizenry, as a fellow account, don't do anything to put spokes in his web, and so on and so forth. So the whole thing is just about mindset. So, and it's good. Yesterday you did it. Saturday we did this topic. Today you are doing it. You have to sustain it so that we will come to a point where as citizens, we will all accept that, okay, look, we are throwing out the old clothing and now we put on new clothing that, look, we have to save the nation. Otherwise, at this rate, the way we are plundering the state, very soon there will be nothing left. We all have to agree. Then the new attitude will take effect. So it's all about conscientizing, and conscientizing us. That's the way I see it. So, and then, Kojo, the second part is that, so once we've shown that as of now, we are scared of reporting public officers when they fail to declare assets or when we see that they are building or acquiring assets beyond their income, then the answer, what we need to add to that bill is that automatically, at the time the public officer is leaving office, he has to appear before SHRAG to account for the assets that he has acquired whilst he's in office. It has to be automatic. And I keep citing the Jage Commission report ad nauseam. During the Jage Commission sittings, so and the context is that Kwame Nkrumah's appointees were all hauled before the Jage Commission. Jage was a court of appeal judge, and Jage, right? Yeah, so Kwame Nkrumah's appointees were all hauled there. They had to account for their assets and liabilities. And those who were found liable, their assets were taken. Some went to court, it failed. You hear Benin versus the Republic, and so on and so forth. Assets were confiscated. So how come that in the 70s we could do this, 60s and 70s we could do this, and then now we've lost all of it? Like the way we say, Ghana, we do the goat dance. We take 2 steps forward and then 4 backwards. You see it? Yeah. So we need that automatic appearance before SHRAG to account for assets and liabilities when the public officer is leaving. Yes, that one, the bill has to accommodate it. Otherwise, then, we are not solving the problem that citizens are scared of reporting.
Right.
Rather, so our history shows that citizens are interested in giving information anonymously. So the system should be in law we call it an inquisitorial approach, where SHRAG will be doing the investigation. So if you like, practically, SHRAG will be the complainant. The citizens don't want to be named, but they will bring SHRAG information as shown during the Diage Commission sittings, and also the Republic versus Apia, the former special prosecutor. He was a public prosecutor prosecuting people for corruption, and he also got ensnared in corruption. Citizens brought the information anonymously. We don't know the person that brought the envelope that showed Mr. Apia's account in London. Okay, money paid by Mr. Jabba, Coles, Motors, and all that. So let's use what has worked for us in the past, the anonymous system, inquisitorial. So SHRAG will be in charge of the investigation. There is no named complainant. The person he's thinking about his wife and kids. Sometimes you meet people who say, look, I don't even care about myself. They can do anything to me. But what about my wife and my children? You say, yeah, so let's give a solution. Straight, no named complainant. SHRAG is in charge. Citizens will bring information. Then we go on.
Mr. Whitall, SHRAG concerns itself with human rights. In all fairness, forcing someone to declare every single piece of property they own, information that they may have kept secret from their own wives and, husbands and family members, some of them might be going through divorce proceedings, and they will be forced to lay bare all the details of every single property they own, even though they may never have been in public office. They are now coming into public office. Does this in any way trample on any of their rights to privacy?
No, I don't think so. Could you very clearly, if an officer elects to enter into public service, he has, as you indicated, I listened to you some few days ago, some privacy of his is diminished. And so whatever he is with, his property, his liabilities, and by association, his wife, his relations, and to the extent that he has a beneficial interest in any property that those associates are also entitled to, he has a responsibility to declare. I don't see a problem. In any case, this is happening all over Africa. Rwanda is doing publication of assets online. Any citizen can go onto the website of the Ombudsman of Rwanda and go in and determine which public officer's name he wants to check and know the properties he's got. There's nothing wrong with it. If you have acquired it legitimately, you should have no problem. But I just quickly want to add that there's an aspect of our law, an amendment which has been hiding somewhere, which works very closely with the Conduct of Public Officers Bill, right? And this is the Criminal Offences Amendment Bill, 2021.
Yeah.
We again worked with the Attorney General because when Ghana was peer-reviewed under the UN Convention Against Corruption, the reviewers came up with the gaps in our Criminal Offences Act 29, Act 29, in respect of what needs to be done if our Criminal Offences Act is to be at par with the convention. Fortunately, technical assistance was acquired, and that has been reduced into a bill form. The Attorney General has gone through the process, and the bill is presently before Parliament. That bill is very critical because it criminalizes abuse of office, for private gain. It also takes into consideration illicit enrichment.
Mm-hmm.
It handles and concealment and embezzlement, and also bribery in the private sector, and so many things that would have sent our legal regime in terms of corruption to a high degree, so that the special prosecutor, the attorney general, Yoko, and all of us who are in this sector would have the legal tools to work with. That law is equally hanging.
I have that bill here.
If we're able to get Parliament to bring that law, that amendment, and that of the public, the conduct of public officers bill together,
right,
I think we would be making a lot of progress.
With your permission, I have the bill here. I just want to go through the topics that it introduces. So, use of public office for profit will be a criminal offense. Violence in legal proceedings. Bribery of a foreign public officer and an officer of a public international organization will also be an offense. Embezzlement, misappropriation, or other diversion of property by a public officer. Bribery in the private sector. Embezzlement of property in the private sector. Concealment of proceeds of crime. Illicit enrichment. Criminal liability of a body corporate. Penalties. No, these are penalties for body corporate, which are also being spelt out. Accepting, soliciting, promising, or giving bribe to influence public officer or juror. These are all captured. I still don't see conflict of interest.
Yes, again, let me quickly add. That the conflict of interest provisions, especially the guidelines that the Commission issued some years ago, have now been fleshed into the new law. And to be honest with you, the Commission is very satisfied with how conflict of interest has been treated under the Conduct of Officers Bill, in terms of criminal sanctions being provided and the administrative sanctions that the Commission can impose.
Okay. So for that, it would be administrative sanctions.
For us, because we don't prosecute, we would ensure administrative sanctions are undertaken, removal from office, reduction in rank, disciplinary, proceedings, interdiction and suspensions of public officers as we go through the process of our investigation.
Okay. At the moment, it says you can recommend penalties for this. Who would you be recommending these penalties to?
You mean in respect of which aspect? The conduct of public office?
Yes. At the moment, the law says that Shraj can recommend penalties for conflict of interest. So who would you recommend these penalties to, according to the law? Who would have to implement them?
We can issue those if they are within our own power to do so.
Right.
And then we can also recommend to the head of the institution, the appointing authority.
Right.
That the president and all persons with power to appoint on behalf of the president.
Okay.
We can indicate what we want done, and it will be done.
Very well. Thank you.
Right.
We're joined now by Dr. Odro Osai, who is the Director General of the Internal Audit Agency. Dr. Osai, thank you very much for your time. Good morning.
Good morning.
So, Doc, I'm particularly interested in something that you've been saying publicly for some time now. You are calling for something referred to as a lifestyle audit of public officers. What exactly is that?
Thank you very much, and let me say good morning to your listeners. A lifestyle audit for public officers is a system put in place where each public officer is expected to justify his or her wealth to a particular authority. Now, if you are in public office and you acquire a new asset, you have to declare it and declare it properly. Whether you declare it or not, that institution should have the power and authority to question the source of the wealth, so that people who acquire illicit wealth can easily be tracked. That is the kind of thing that lifestyle audit does. And in most countries where lifestyle audit has been mainstream into public administration, corruption level is very low, or they've been able to manage it. One country that lifestyle audit has been very successful is the Republic of South Africa. So I think that in Ghana, the way we do not question illicit acquisition of wealth and the way people live beyond their means, if we mainstream it into public administration, we'll be able to tame corruption or do a lot of good to this country by way of preventing corrupt acts within the public sector.
Which agency in our setup would you say is best placed to conduct these audits?
A number of agencies. The Financial Intelligence Center can be one, SHRIDE can be the other, Office of the Special Prosecutor can be the other, and IOCO can also be another, depending on the asset involved.
Right. Now, are you recommending this on top of the asset declaration regime that we are all calling for? Are you saying this should be something on top of that?
This should be a modification of the asset declaration regime. The current asset declaration regime, I must say, is bogus because the system will not help us fight corruption. A situation where you can declare your assets, but nobody opens the envelope, nobody does a follow-up to do verification and validation. It's difficult for anybody to establish whether wealth or an asset has been acquired through illicit means or not. So I'm recommending this to replace the current asset declaration regime. So we can modify the lifestyle audit and incorporate in it an asset declaration regime that will give an opportunity to the institution that receives the asset declared to the power to do verification and follow-up, and then also publish its findings as far as these follow-ups are concerned. If that can happen together with this lifestyle audit, it's better, except that the lifestyle audit is a continuous approach or a continuous system of verifying, following up, questioning, and asking people about the source of their wealth as far as acquiring certain assets beyond their means are concerned. And in that case, whether you are in the public sector or you are in the private sector, once you acquire certain assets beyond your means, the tax authorities should be able to even ask you questions about that, whether you paid all your taxes, and then its implication on national development. So I'm recommending this in addition to a modified asset declaration regime.
Now, in South Africa, the example that you mentioned, there was one story of a private company that suggested that a lifestyle audit was being used to victimize them. They were in competition with another organization for some property or to acquire an asset. They went ahead and acquired it, and then one of their board members or somebody who was connected to government suddenly became the subject of a lifestyle audit. Do you see the possibility of an abuse of this regime if it's introduced?
No, if managed well, every system is prone to abuse unless the checks and balances within the system are operationalized. So yes, there can be a system abuse, but we have to put in place checks and balances so that if one institution is responsible for undertaking the lifestyle audit, there should be another institution that acts as a check on that institution so that we would ensure that the system is fair and it is not discriminatory to citizens of Ghana, but rather it benefits the Ghana as a corporate country.
I want to get the thoughts of our other panelists on this idea of yours. It's quite interesting. I'll start with you, Mr. Whitall. What do you think? Could this work?
Thank you, Kojo. And just to add to what my good friend Dr. Odrosai had said, if you are happy, I hope you are still holding on to the Criminal Offences Amendment Bill.
Yes, I still have.
If you look at the illicit enrichment, it's not different from what Doctor has just indicated. It's the same. If we are able to pass that amendment, which makes provision for every citizen, public or private, to be, in terms of your assets, what you have, if your lifestyle is disproportionate with your means of income, you are liable to be investigated and to be put before court. And then the burden will shift in terms of you now having to justify how you came by the property. That is how Article 286, Clause 4 would be operationalized. So you can call it lifestyle audit. You can call it illicit enrichment. The fact is that we have started on the path already. And we can fine-tune it.
Okay.
If you wouldn't mind, you can just go over that provision and you see whether it's done the same as what doctor is recommending.
Yes, it's very short. Let me read it very quickly. 245F, illicit enrichment. It says, 1. A person in possession of unexplained wealth for the benefit of that person or another person who A. maintains a standard of living above that which is commensurate with the past or present known emoluments of that person, or B. is in control of resources or property disproportionate to the past or present known emoluments of that person, commits an offense under the person unless the person gives a satisfactory explanation as to how the standard of living was maintained or how the pecuniary resources or property came under the control of that person. 2. A person who contravenes subsection 1 commits an offense and is liable on summary conviction to a term of imprisonment of not less than 12 years and not more than 25 years. So coming into unexplained wealth could land you in jail for 12 years or more, according to this proposed amendment.
Exactly.
Okay. Let me get the views of Lawyer Kwebu before I come back to Dr. Osai. So what do you reckon? I mean, illicit enrichment, lifestyle audit, would this be a welcome addition, or could it be abused?
Yes, Kojo. Number one, definitely a welcome addition. And as for abuse, yes, power, when you give too much power, it's susceptible to abuse, okay? So try and walk the middle ground, okay? So, very, very welcome. But as I've always said, for me today, I'm always going to choke you with my one suggestion. These laws have always been there. You see the lifestyle audit you're mentioning, and as Commissioner Whittal mentioned, that's actually implicit in the Article 286, Clause 4, the unexplained wealth. But the question is that, how many times have we implemented it? How many reports were there? In the previous, during the Rawlings regime, you remember A.J. Mafo, the Minister for Lands, Forestry, something like that. He acquired a property in the name of his son. Then Shraj came in, he was confiscated because of the constitutional provisions of create, loot, and share openly. And when they appear right now, when they come into your studio right now, you say, oh, honorable. And honorable is plundering us. Create, loot, and share. Remember Justice Doche's judgment, the way you make it.
Yeah.
So our fundamental problem is that we don't have enough men with balls, excuse my French, to report. So if we don't solve the problem of who wants to bail the cat, we can keep adding so many laws ad nauseam, but we will not move. I tell you, from what we've said so far, what we have on the statute books, if we had been implementing, would have gone far. Let me tell you, you see the lifestyle audit Dr. Osai mentioned and Commissioner Whittal has also expanded on. We've always had it in the tax books, in the statutes. I remember mine as far back as when we're using IRS. The former, this is what you call the statute on income tax, the Internal Revenue Act. It's in there that the GRA, current GRA, when they see that your lifestyle doesn't commensurate with your income, they will call you in, audit you, and tax you. And of course, when they see that your income is not commensurate with your lifestyle and all that, your income and all that, it means that when they are done with you, the criminal prosecution is likely to continue. How many people knew there is this law? We've always had it on the books. Check the GRA, and I'll be surprised that the current laws will repeal that one. We've always had it, that GRA, looking at your lifestyle, can call you in and say, matter, you look more richer than you look on paper, then they will properly audit you and tax you. I'm not aware of anybody whoever went to complain or GRA calling anybody to audit the person and tax him appropriately. So the question is always be, who wants to bail the cat?
Yeah.
Who wants to bail the cat? If we don't solve it from that point, matter, you can continue adding the laws, but please, we will not make much progress.
Dr. Osai, I think I want to get your final thoughts on practicality here. I mean, it's true that these are good ideas, but how do we ensure that they actually get done? I mean, it's not in the interest of those whose job it is to implement, to actually go ahead and implement. So how do we force them to do this against their interest?
I think it's a problem of enforcement, and like Matic people said, if we are bold enough to implement the laws, and I like the bit about the illicit acquisition of wealth, we're able to pass that amendment and we fully implement the existing laws, we'll be able to make a lot of progress. Our challenge has always been the zeal and the will to implement the laws as they are. So my advice is, let us implement the laws to the latter without fear or favor, and we'll be able to make significant progress in our fight against corruption.
All right, I think that's a perfect point to take a break. I want to say thank you to our guests, Dr. Odrosai, who is the Director General of the Internal Audit Agency. We've also been hearing from Joseph Whittal, who is the Commissioner of SHRAJ, Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice, and he hates it, but I'll say it, prominent Ghanaian lawyer Martin Kwebu, who has also been sharing some very interesting perspectives on asset declaration. When we come back, it'll be time for your perspective. We'll open the lines. You tell us what you think should be our way forward on this. Stay with us. We're back after these.
When the world looks at my child, they just see an energetic 8-year-old. But I see more. My Lucy is going to become captain of her school volleyball team, keep excelling in class, and do great things one day. I see a champion. So when I give her Milo with her breakfast every day, it's all part of waking up the champion in her.
Don't just wake up your child, wake up the champion in her. Let Milo with Active Go and the natural goodness of malt, milk, and cocoa help wake up the champion in your child every day. Milo, energy to go further. Milo! This advert is FDA approved.
Arthur Legacy Sports and the Italian Embassy present the Cultural Trade Ball All-Stars game at the Accra Sports Stadium on Friday, June 17 from 5 p.m. A spectacular evening of football, music. The All-Stars game will parade top international stars like Andre Ayew, Felix Afena-Jan, and many more. Get your e-tickets by dialing *713*33*00# or send #00# to 0242 426427 and follow the prompt to buy your tickets and be a part of this football fiesta. Friday, 17th June from 5 p.m. at the Accra Sports Stadium. Be there or be squared.
Petroleum gas, use it safely and wisely. Petroleum gas, use it safely and wisely for your safety.
To handle fire caused by LPG, take the following steps. If possible, turn off the regulator on the cylinder to stop the gas from causing more fire. Immediately, call the fire service. Do not try putting out LPG fire with water. Instead, use fire extinguisher. Children should immediately call for help when they smell gas or notice a fire. Remember, never place a cylinder to a source of heat or use a stone to stop a leaking cylinder. A message from the National Petroleum Authority.
PG, liquefied petroleum gas. PG, liquefied petroleum gas. Use it safely and wisely.
My first thing was sneaking into the fridge to sip on some Ideal milk.
My first telephone was 2 empty tins of Ideal milk connected by a long string.
My first taste of freedom was when I had 1 full tin of Ideal to myself in SH.
Make more beautiful memories with Ideal Milk as we celebrate our 50th anniversary. You can win a brand new car and other exciting prizes when you text the special code behind each Ideal original anniversary label. The more you buy and text, the better your chances. This advert is FDA approved.
Mark your calendars for 9 a.m. on the 4th of June. Nagar is holding a free seminar in Accra, Ghana. But that's not all. We're sending our very own Director of Education, Mr. Andreas Dalasinos, to host the seminar for you. Want a chance to learn from one of the world's leading industry experts? Mr. Dalasinos will show you how to boost your trading knowledge. The seminar will be held at the Accra Marriott Hotel located at Liberation Road, Airport TT, Accra, Ghana. Excited? We didn't even tell you the best parts yet. There is going to be a draw, and the 10 lucky winners of this draw will walk away with $100 each. But beyond the prize, everyone will walk away with knowledge. During this seminar, you will learn who Naga is, what makes them a leading broker, and how you can take advantage of their tools and resources to begin your trading career. To reserve your seat, simply text yes to 055-199-1234. One more time, that's 055-199-1234. Naga, the official sponsor of Sevilla FC.
Say Lonat, 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 Lonat. Hey, Lonat, 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 Lonat. Lonat, Lonat. Young Cotton, Lonat, Lonat, Lonat. Malaria, Suron, Lonat. Everybody follow not sa malaria. A 3D Lonat now, Ogonto. Malaria, chill. Popo. What mean the day? I want the Lonat, Lonat, Dabako, Lonat, Adamiano, Lonat, Adamiansa, Lonat, no. Lonat, scatter malaria. Lonat, it scatter malaria.
A quality product from Blaze GVS Pharma. Yenshishemu who se malaria wa umojum ansana wanum Lonat. Na nam yensearch na malaria no daso wo hwa ko hu dokota.
This advert is FDA approved.
You love it, don't you? Delicious, and nutritious.
Hello, mums. Cerelac has a new look and is fortified with Iron Plus. Rest assured, Mum, baby has adequate nutrition support for growth and development. New Cerelac, same love.
Mommy loves you.
Cerelac, it's all good, Mum. This advert is FDA approved.
It's the most action-packed breakfast show in town. The hottest music, the best giveaways, the great interviews, and all the laughter and fun you can imagine. Don't miss the Super Morning Show on Joy 99.7 FM. It's the best breakfast show in town. Coffee in your cup and Joy on the set. The Super Morning Show is always the best bet on Joy 99.7 FM.
All right, so welcome back, and thank you very much for staying with us here on the Super Morning Show on Joy 99.7 FM. So, you've heard from Joseph Whittal, who is Commissioner of Shraj. You've heard from Martin Pebu, who is a legal practitioner. You've also heard from Dr. Eric Odrosai, who is the Director General of the Internal Audit Agency. Time now to hear from you on 0302-216-541 and then 055-1111-997. So, you I've heard these persons talk about the right kind of asset declaration regime that we need in this country. What is your take? What is your thought? Do you think that the current one or the proposed bill solves the problem? But before we get onto the phone lines, let me just ask a very simple question. Are you ready to wake up the champion in your child today? Don't just wake up your child. Help wake up the champion in your child with energy from Milo. With Active Go and other foods, your child needs all the help they can get as they go through their daily activities. And Milo with Active Go contains the natural goodness of malt, milk, cocoa, and is a source of vitamins B2, B3, B6, B12, C, and D, and iron, calcium, and phosphate. So energize your children with a cup of Milo every day. Milo, energy to go further. And we'll be sharing your thoughts shortly on Twitter and text messages also. Brought to us by Glyco Critical Illness Plan, GSIP, It's in your best interest to survive. Now, Kingdom Books and Stationery Limited, your number one supplier of quality office essentials and equipment and furniture at affordable prices, has introduced an online store for your shopping convenience. So this means you can now shop by simply logging on to Kingdom Store online without physically coming to any of our branches. It is hassle-free and will arrange delivery to your home's office within a reasonable time. We offer free delivery within Accra and Tema and accept payment via Momo across all networks. Terms and conditions have applied at Kingdom. Quality and affordability is their hallmark. So, Raymond, before we get onto the phone lines, you've listened to Joseph Whittal, you've listened to Martin Kwebu and Dr. Eric Odrosai. Joseph Whittal makes the point that the proposed act or bill is not fit for purpose.
Keenly, the very general things that anybody will have in their hearts on this matter is that any asset declaration bill, framework, or law which has not gotten these key principles: accessibility, verifiability, frequency of filing, sanctions, and coverage, will not stand the test of time. And that if we are serious about this, we should do a lot more to even the current bill if we want it to work out for us. Again, I agree with the sentiment that we are too slow in implementing the things that will bring real change. It's, of course, we know that some people, especially beneficiaries who might give government or in politics generally, would oppose this because it's how they preserve their lives. It's how they want to stay in power, because at least their greedy part will let them know that, the more I take, and the fear that if I go and expose myself out there, but it just tells us that there are people who are into politics in this country. Okay. So to be able to change the people who are in politics, we need to fast track the passage of some of these laws so that we can push it and push it hard enough.
Great, let's get into the phone lines now. And Mr. M joining us from Accra. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Great, share your thoughts with us.
What I want to say is, this is a good topic that you brought up, and this is an issue that we all have to think about. But, Kojo, the point is, we can't do this thing without two fundamental issues that I think we have to talk here. First, about the societal norms and the religious aspect. Look, we are in the country that we all center our things on exposure, perception. We go to church, we flaunt our riches, and nobody answers anything. Okay? If we want to tackle this thing, I believe we have to take it from the religious aspect, from the churches. I looked around. I'm listening to the proposals. There's nothing which is coming from the religious background or the religious sector. Look, if we all know that, everything we acquire on this earth is vanity upon vanity, I believe all this acquisition of where corruption will come down, because at the end of the day, all the people we're talking about 90% of us go to church. And we go to church, and people use means to acquire wealth, and when they go to church, they praise them, they give them the front seat and all that. We are in the country, when you work for about 20, 25 years, and you are going on retirement, and you don't have a house for yourself, or even one house, they say, people ask you that you are useless. They think that they will tell you that Abai Jumano, we don't put it on our head, we put it on our chest, or our shoulder or something. Okay? Is our upbringing. We have to tackle it straight from the infants, when we give children from the school, that we have to be honest, we have to be truthful, we have to be forthright with our country. So before the child goes to primary school, JS and whatever, all these things are inculcated on their mind. If we wait for people to go to start working and they start earning their salaries, and we want to tackle these things, I bet you it will be difficult. Now, the other aspect is about those who will be making the report. Yes. Look, whoever I'm talking to, sorry, in your family, are you sure you're going to tell me that if an uncle of you is working somewhere and is making riches, will you be prepared to report him or to fish out information when they ask you? This is the question we have to ask ourselves. Because if we think that if somebody is rich, it's by dint of their own hard work, their own chores, and then when you report them, it seems like you are tarnishing their image we will not get anywhere with this law. We can add up, like Martin Pewu said, we can add up laws. But then who will bear the cut?
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. M from Accra, for joining us. You can also join us on 0302 216 541. 0302 216 541. And then 0551111997. You've heard from Joseph Wetal, you've heard from Martin Pebu, as well as Dr. Eric Odrosai. What's your own view on the best form of asset declaration for our dearest country, Ghana? Let's get to Kay at Airport. Kay, good morning. Hello, good morning, Kay.
Yes, good morning.
Great. Share your thoughts with us.
Okay. Good morning. Hello, Kojo.
Hi, Kay. How are you?
Kojo, please don't take this the wrong way, okay? But I feel like since 6 o'clock when I listened to you, and you said we're going to discuss something that would bite today, I felt after the conversation this morning that we did nothing. Like it was a waste of time. Why? Because at the end of that conversation, that's when we talked about the most important thing, which I thought was going to be the topic, which is how do we implement? We talked about everything, and the last person who you gave the opportunity to speak said, if we are able to implement, if we do this, if we all know that if we do it. So I thought today we're going to discuss from these experts, these lawyers, how can we make sure that it is implemented, or how can we do something, as you put it in the morning, that will bite, not to discuss the whole what it does and what if we do this will do, and if we have that, what that would do, and all of that. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. I hope we get an opportunity to discuss how can we actually get it done. How can we implement? Let's stop talking about if we do this, if we do that. Let's actually get to the meat. How do we even do the one that we actually have on paper already? So let's get that one done. And let's stop the if we do this. Thank you.
Thank you, Kay. Thanks for calling. I think Kay has a point there. Definitely the evolution of this conversation should be into how to make it happen. How to make it happen. Jacob joins us now. Jacob, good morning.
Good morning, my brother.
How are you? Where are you calling us from?
From Kafua, the Kafua city.
Right. What's on your mind?
Basically, the solution lies in our inactivity, in our inaction to change that law, and then let the court now change that regulation to make it such a way that before you enter public office, you should have done it open. If you can't seal it, you can't come and declare your asset public. They don't fit for the purpose. So it is the institution, the SRAG and the court who are, actually disappointing the nation. Talking about it, we've talked about it several times. The action is who is to take the action to change the law, to make it more biting and inimical for the leadership to do what they are doing now. The problem is, one, is the court not benefiting from that thing? Two, the SLOs, the CSOs, are they not there to see to this? What action are they taking? What is the role of the council on this? Is that thing useless entity, the Council of State? Is the court that is becoming useless? Or it is the SRAS that is becoming useless, that we are seeing the bad leadership that we are seeing today? Joy FM, from time to time, we've discussed this. I want Joy FM, the legal team, to take it up and unscrew the nonsense in that document and change it for the better. Thank you.
Thank you, Jacob. Thanks very much for calling. Roll is in West Hills. Hi, Roll. Good morning.
Hi, Toba. Good morning to you. How are you and your team?
We're all very good. Thanks for calling us.
Yes, sir. Just a quick one. And I like the gentleman who called before this one, who was basically chastising you as to the way we must go, and not about the if, but how do we get it done? Could you please? I've been listening to this conversation from the word go on your station. Even yesterday, you tried very hard to come up with that whole thing about the presentation by Bright Simmons on your weekend show. See, how do we get this done? Please, nobody should confuse us with any legal jargon. The current Lands and Natural Resource Minister needs to be arrested right now for us to have the conversation. Listen, no, and I'm saying this, Kojan, I want you to listen to me carefully. The Lands and Natural Resource Minister came up from nowhere, an amount or a figure jumped from A to Z on the Achimota Forest. When he was caught pants down, all of a sudden, there's a full disclosure on things. Now look at where we are starting the conversation from. So how do we get it down? Arrest that gentleman right now and let's start the conversation. Once we arrest him, then we can say, okay, now after arresting the Lands and Natural Minister, these are the things we need to do on assets declaration, because the figure he put out turns out that it is something being cooked. And that in itself, that is a criminal element that by now the CID need to move in and pick the guy out. But look at us. We are throwing in all the legal jargons from the word go and up to now. They are confusing us with the legal jargons. Go and read all the statements from the Lands and Natural Resource Minister and check the jargons in that thing, trying to confuse you. Me, Obiba Kwamtewa, you can never confuse me. That guy needs behind bars. Thank you.
Well, thank you for sharing your thoughts there, Rule from West Hills. Antia joins us. Antia, good morning.
Good morning, Kojo. How are you?
Very well, thank you. It's nice to hear from you.
Yes. Kojo, I think we've discussed this for quite long. I don't think this is the first time. Am I right?
Yes, it's come up before.
Yes, so I think that the law doesn't work. And those that implement the law are the same people that appoint people to these key positions. Am I not right?
You're right.
Who appoints the Attorney General? Who appoints the Chief Justice? Who appoints the Shirago?
Mm-hmm.
Who appoints them? It's the government.
The president.
It's the president, sorry. So if the president is not doing something right, do you think they'll be able to prosecute him? Would they have the I don't know what to put it. Would they have the
political will?
Kojo,
mm-hmm.
If I appoint you,
mm-hmm.
and I'm doing something wrong, will you have the right to question me?
It will be difficult.
Oh, Ghana, there, me as you. Look at this. We have a board of directors. We have this council of states. Nothing is working. We pay them so much. Everybody becomes bright because he wants to chop. The ministers are there. The law is saying if you have one house. What I think would be the solution, we should stop buying the cars, giving them houses. Anyone who comes to power should stay in his or her own house, use his or her own car. Then we save our money because the laws are there, they are not working. That bank from 1957, they travel to London, they'll come and tell you in London they pay them so much. There the law works so. There the law works. When they come, they don't come and tell you the ministers don't even sell their assets. They come to tell us, go and look at London. Go and look at their roads. They always come to tell us what is outside. But here, when they come, they become blind. My position is that we should stop buying the cars, the houses. Anyone that comes into power, if you have a one bedroom, start from your one bedroom. Because the moment they come, they become so corrupt. We give them car, we give them everything, and they fail to do what is expected. At the end of the day, they leave huge debts that we cannot pay. They come to rather burden us.
Thank you, Antia, for sharing. Goka is where we're going next. Isaac James is there. Hi, Isaac.
Good morning, KY. How are you?
Not bad at all, bro. Yourself?
I'm enjoying God's blessings. And greeting to my neighbor, the ancestor. Today I'm far away, but don't worry. I'll be back home soon.
You see,
what?
Yes, sir.
You see, we always, as Ghanaians, we always set short-term goals. So our politicians say that we are Ghanaians, we have short memory. Then very soon we forget about their wrongdoing. And so that is it. You see, our two dangerous entities, that is NDC and MP, have made Ghanaians to be so much partisan without knowing anything about patriotism. We have to start teaching patriotism from our schools, from the basic schools, so that people, before they grow up, they will have patriotism instilled in their minds, so that when they grow up, they will love their country and not do things against their country. But we keep on doing, we have many laws, but we are not following them, because it is the executive that controls everything. They will come and appoint everybody, and if I appoint you, as Auntie has said, if I appoint you, will you prosecute me? No. We need to change things and start teaching from the younger generation how to be patriotic. That is the only way. If we continue like this, we will keep on setting rules and laws, and nobody will implement it, because it is the same politicians that we expect to implement it. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Thank you, Isaac James. Thanks very much for calling. I think we have Kwame Ochre Asante calling us from Legon. Kwame, good morning.
Good morning, Kojo. How are you all?
We're all very well. Thanks for calling.
Oh, okay. So that's a nice program you're having there. So, like I heard someone say, one of the contributors say, he's saying we should, stop talking and act on some of these challenges we are facing. So, well, I don't know the modality. It will be this government going out, another coming in to repeat the same thing. I think there should be some, that is the reason why people will say there should be coup and all of that. There should be some civil uprising. We should bring everything in this country to a standstill, revert, and then let's all apply ourselves and decide that this is how we want, this direction we want this country to go. Because I don't know how we're going to solve this. Is the president appointing everybody? And that was suggested. How does the Attorney General arrest the president? Or, like someone was saying, we should arrest Samuel Jinpo. You see, so there should be something. There should be some action from the citizens happening. But how it will take place, I don't know. We want things to change for the better. I suggest that something drastic as citizens taking the law into their own hands is something that should happen.
Well, I'm sure
I don't know how this thing will stop.
Yeah, I'm sure you can understand why we can't advocate that. Obviously,
what will be the solution then?
Yes, well,
there should be something that is the reason people advocate for some of these uprisings. But otherwise, the people we are talking to should come to good reason and say the citizens are complaining.
Indeed, you're right. I think this is the conversation, Kwame. With this question you've asked, what should be the way to make them do what we want them to do? That's the conversation. Taking the law into our own hands can never be the solution unless we want to just dissolve society.
In other jurisdictions, when MPs vote, it is known how they voted. So based on how you vote and based on your principles, you'll be taking on, you either be voted back into parliament or voted against not to be in parliament. Your MPs are there. You're telling them, this is what we want you to do. Find out what their positions are. If they are not in support of what you think is right, vote against them.
Even more so, the Attorney General of the Republic of Ghana should be telling the people the status of this bill.
Yes.
And why it has not been passed. We should have government saying, like the way they push other bills, the way they push the A-levy, they should be interested in some of these things that will bring and it saves us money too. I mean, let's be fair. So that will bring true governance to the people. Or else you continue to get the people frustrated because they are seeing the same thing. They are seeing the loot, the rot, and every time, and still just talking about it. So there are people who directly have to act on this. The AG, the Parliament of the Republic of Ghana. And more importantly, is the President's call.
Yeah.
If the Executive President wants this prioritized today, we will get it prioritized.
A bit of education there. For those who are calling for the arrest of the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, because the number of acres jumped to 300 and something, there is a statement from the ministry that explains that jump and when it happened. According to that statement, it was before Mr. Jinapor became minister. But more importantly, it was under the negotiation of a name you will recognize, Sir John. Anyway, let's wrap up with this. Just a quick thought. Everybody is wondering, how do we get these politicians to do what we want them to do? How do we get them to change this law when it is against their interest? Well, take the priority of politicians' interests. Their number one priority is to win power.
Yeah.
And once they win power, their number two priority is to serve their personal interest, not yours. So you must catch them at the number one priority before they win power. Maybe this is the point at which we should insist that any manifesto that is read to us that does not include a comprehensive promise to fix our asset declaration regime and to have biting consequences for those who come into public office and for private gain, until maybe we make that call on political parties that don't come to us unless that's in your manifesto. And then once they win power, again, it has to be us. It has to be us. Everything that is done in secrecy by leaders is to the detriment of the people. Everything that is done in secrecy by leaders is to the detriment of the people. And that includes our voting in parliament. That includes our voting in parliament. I want to leave us with just that thought. If you hire somebody to come and run your shop for you, and you suddenly see that the person has started driving a new car, is wearing new clothes, has a Rolex, you as the shop owner, you have every right to know where that money came from. To be sure it's not from your shop's revenue. You have every right to know. All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, we've got some friends who have some exciting information about trading that could make you richer. Stay tuned.
What would you do if you have the choice to do anything in life? Build your dream house, take very good care of your family, and plan for a comfortable retirement. Plan a befitting funeral for your loved ones when they depart. How would you live if you knew there was a friend waiting to support you on all of your life's choices?
You have such a friend in Glyco Life Insurance. Glyco Life has all the plans to meet your life's needs. Your child's education,